Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 5 absolute worst Rachmaninoff recordings. Now, what could be worse than bad Rachmaninoff? Seriously. His music is so tuneful, so luscious, so dark and full of smoldering Russian passion, whatever that is. And it's really, if you just do what he tells you to do, it's going to work pretty well. Of course, there's a difference between really dazzling, compelling Rachmaninoff and decent Rachmaninoff and average Rachmaninoff. In fact, in the piano concertos, it's rather difficult to find terrible versions, I think. Usually you get okay versions, mediocre versions, because his music has a certain level of virtuosity that requires, a very high level of performance. So, things tend to come off okay, and the tunes are fabulous no matter what. And so we listen to them and we sort of enjoy them. The symphonies and other orchestral works are another issue, though. They are more difficult to perform because they have sort of obvious formal issues. The Second Symphony, there's the question of cuts, which he authorized, lots of them, which really chop the piece up, I think unacceptably, and which nowadays are largely ignored. And then there's, the Third Symphony, which is difficult work to pull off. It's the weakest of the three in many respects, but still full of beautiful, beautiful things. And that's where we really need to begin. Symphony No. 3, which has a slew of terrible performances. Really, the issue with Symphony No. 3 is that you have to do exactly what Rachmaninoff wrote in the score. Sometimes with romantic music, and particularly virtuoso romantic piano-based music, like Rachmaninoff's, you can get away with a lot of pushing and pulling and heaving and panting and rubato and, stretching and things like that. You can do it. And in some works, it comes off better than others. But the Third Symphony is rather carefully structured. It's in 3 movements with a central scherzo section in the middle of the slow movement. And so, it has sort of a beautiful arch form. And in order to bring out its formal elegance as well as its melodic voluptuousness, you need to follow Rachmaninoff's tempo indications rather carefully. And a lot of conductors don't. And when they don't, you have Valery Gergiev with the London Symphony Orchestra on the LSO label. An absolutely dreadful performance characterized by a bland, monotonous handling of tempo and section. You've got to understand, you don't get formal coherence by playing everything at the same speed or by minimizing contrast. You get formal coherence when listeners feel that there's a sense of balance thanks to the level of contrast that's written into the piece. Fast versus slow, loud versus soft. And once you get that right, then things start to equalize, and the reason you feel that it works is because you're not bored. Well, Gergiev is a snooze fest. Oh my God, just horrible in every respect. Also a snooze fest, but for a different reason, is Adrian Boult's old recording with the London Philharmonic on Decca. Talk about sterile. Oh my God. This is a performance that has no sex appeal whatsoever, no glamour. He just scoots through the big, luscious tunes and treats them as though he's embarrassed. They're like the embarrassing relatives showing up at a party. You just want to get rid of them and shunt them off to one side. It's an absolutely cold, mechanical, unappealing performance, indifferently played. Really, really a blot on an otherwise finely honed escutcheon. It really is. It's just blech, yuck, ick. Okay, so that sucked. Now, as far as the concertos go, like I said, most of the time they come off pretty well. You can be too slow, you can be a little dull, but to be actually bad takes work. It really does. However, Georgy Cziffra and his son, Georgy Cziffra Jr., managed to make mincemeat out of the second concerto in their Warner recording. It's really, really heavy and slow and dull and lacking in contrast. And even though the finale, goes at a fairly good clip, Cziffra Sr. is really not on top form. He's struggling to get through it. And the whole thing comes off as just dismal. And dismal it should not be. Dark, yes. Throbbing with sultry passion, okay. We can deal with a throb here and there, right? But it can't be inert. And this is inert. It's comatose. It's a dead issue. And it's pity, because Cziffra's a wonderful pianist. But the problem with a pianist of his type, which was sort of the wild-eyed, spontaneous virtuoso, is that he was either going to be hot or cold. If he's on, he was amazing. If he wasn't on, it was lethal. And lethal is what we get in his second piano concerto. So that really sucked, unfortunately. Then we've got Piano Concerto number 5. What, you say? Rachmaninoff only wrote, 4 piano concertos. And so he did. But some, genius decided that you could turn the second symphony into a piano concerto by the simple expedient of leaving out the scherzo except for its fast fugato, which works wonderfully, they think, in the context of the adagio. Because, see, Rachmaninoff did that in the third piano concerto. There's the fast bit in the middle of the slow movement. So they figured, let's do that, because Rachmaninoff would do that, whether the music fits there or it doesn't fit there. Hint, it doesn't. And then you take the first movement, the last movement, and you parcel it up between the orchestra and the piano, and voila! Piano Concerto number 5. Ugh! What a horrid idea. It's an abomination aesthetically, first of all, but the performance, the only performance, thank God, I don't think there's another, with this pianist, his last name is Schmitt-Leonardy, and Theodore Kuchar on Brilliant Classics. Now, Kuchar, of course, is always good. And this is not his fault, this disaster. It's a combination of flabby piano playing, really flabby piano playing, and not that there's much for the pianist to do that's going to unflab. I mean, it just doesn't work, and the piano writing doesn't glitter the way Rachmaninoff's does, and it's the whole thing is just an abortion of a concept, and there isn't anything you can do to redeem it. Kuchar can't. God knows Schmitt-Leonardy doesn't. I mean, it was nice of him to learn it, I guess. And it's on Brilliant Classics, and it's a party record. So if you want to go hear it, and you can do it for like no money, feel free. But one time is going to be it for you. I guarantee it. It will knock not your socks off. It will just knock you out entirely. Just horrible. Anyway, so there's that. And then last but not least, I think the most atrocious Rachmaninoff recording is actually a set. It's the complete symphonies with other orchestral works, including the symphonic dances and other goodies, with Charles Dutoit and the Philadelphia Orchestra. This was an idea that just didn't work. I mean, Philadelphia is the orchestra that has the Rachmaninoff tradition, really, among like all the orchestras in the world. Philly and Ormondy particularly were Rachmaninoff people, so they know the music really well. Dutoit, at the time that this was made, was going like gangbusters in Montreal, and so someone at Decca had the bright idea to put them together, and they figured, wonderfulness would happen. Oh, it didn't. It really didn't. First of all, Dutoit has no feeling for Rachmaninoff's music at all. I'm not sure why, but his performances are what you might assume to be stereotypically French, meaning light and neat and really, again, gutless. I wouldn't say passionless, but gutless. I mean, they have no backbone, no excitement, no. There's just no sense that anything that matters is going on, and all of them are like that. They're all just lousy. And then you've got the symphonic dances, which suck. It's just the whole set was done with, it seems, total and almost arrogant indifference to what the music is supposed to sound like. I mean, it's the Philadelphia Orchestra. They have the notes. They don't play with any kind of passion or interest in the music for Dutoit. And to make, add insult to injury, the sonics are lousy. I mean, Philadelphia has been notoriously difficult to record ever since Sony stopped recording them. And Decca doesn't solve the problem because it's a recording that's pale and washed out and lacking in impact. Oh, it's just the most awful Rachmaninoff cycle you've ever heard in your life. It's just terrible, terribly ineffective, and it is so weak-kneed, miserable. So there you have it, the 5 worst Rachmaninoff recordings. Feel free to chime in with your own list of truly dreadful efforts by great artists or not so great artists. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.